Alright, so we're going to talk about reference arc a minute. The first thing to note is a reference arc is always in the first quadrant. So when we're all done, when you find your reference arc, it's always going to be in quadrant 1. And then you'll notice it has this special little symbol here. Now we've been using T to designate arcs, and then your book changes and now is going to use X sometimes to designate an arc. But when it has this little teepee hat on the top, that means reference arc. We'll use that a little bit here in chapter 1, and then we'll use that again in chapter, I think it's chapter 6 coming up. So we want to find the reference arc for the arc 17 pi over 6. And I've already got my circle drawn. I start here at 0 and I go in the positive direction. And I know by looking at 17 pi over 6 that this is a multiple wrap. In other words, I started at 0, I went all the way around, I passed 2 pi. 2 pi in terms of sixths is 12 pi over 6, and because my arc is 17 pi over 6, I know I've gone past 12 pi over 6. So this is going to look a lot like finding the least positive coterminal arc. In fact, we're going to talk about that in a second, but it's just slightly another step to it. So you first start with your 17 pi over 6, and you're going to subtract 2 pi, which is the equivalent of 12 pi over 6. And when you do that, you end up with 5 pi over 6. So now I know that I started here, and I went all the way around, but I went around a second time, but I ended up over here at 5 pi over 6. It's just that when I did 17 pi over 6, I went around, here, let's just sketch it. We went around once, and then we went partially around again. Okay. So 5 pi over 6 is my least positive coterminal arc, and we'll talk about that in another video. So now I want to find the reference arc. Okay, so to find the reference arc, now you take this 5 pi over 6, because now that's my least positive coterminal arc, and I want to subtract pi. Remember, pi is right over here, so what that does, let's make that 6 pi over 6, that's the same as pi, so when I subtract that I get pi over 6. So I end up with this pi over 6 right over here, okay? And that reference arc here, right there, that's my reference arc, X, with a little hat over it. That's the same as this distance right over there. Let me draw a little bigger picture of the top of the circle. Okay, so here's 5 pi over 6 right here. Okay, there we go. And let's make our center right there. And then we said pi over 6 is right here. There's our reference arc. This is pi over 6. The length of that arc is the same as the length of this arc over here. And you know that because when we did the unit circle, we talked about how those two are there's symmetry there. And so when I know the sine and the cosine of pi over 6, I can just apply that with the correct positive or negative sign to 5 pi over 6. So pi over 6 is my reference arc. Okay, so why is this important? It's important because, let me change colors here a minute, if the problem asks you to find the cosine, or the sine, of 17 pi over 6, you could do one of two things. You could find the least positive coterminal arc, and then this is on your unit circle, so you automatically know the sine and cosine, or you can find the reference arc. The reference arc is always in quadrant 1, and then knowing that your 17 pi over 6 ends up in quadrant 2, you know that because you found the least positive coterminal arc, Therefore, you automatically know the sine and the cosine, because you just apply the correct positive or negative sign to it. So that's why that one is important. Okay, that's the end of this example.